that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted.
You know, irony is a pretty simple but often misunderstood concept. Generally, irony is when the exact opposite thing you expect happens. For example, you're in a car accident, but you survive. But you die on the way to the hospital when the ambulance gets into a wreck. Point is, history is littered with unintended consequences, or as Barbara Tuchman once said, conflict is the unfolding of miscalculations. But there is no greater irony than the ascent of this mopish ape and his command of grown men and women.
I want to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states where it belongs.
So why would red states with the lowest test scores want to abolish the Department of Education? That's like ships at sea voting to ban lighthouses in the Coast Guard. But that's MAGA thinking, and the irony is thicker than Kimberly's lips. The best! Republicans and tiny fingers have attacked the Department of Education for a long time, crying about the expansion of truth into our kids' books and discussions.
We will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children.
You know what? So what if he wants to grab pussy? I want to grab pussy.
And there is no greater home for the ignorant than Florida, where Governor Thumbface has attacked school boards and forced the legislature to pass laws describing the catastrophic effects of slavery is actually beneficial to black people.
And therefore covers slavery from the perspective of the slave instead of just from the perspective of the master. The curriculum includes how black slaves were able to use their experience, in some cases, to make their brutally hard lives better.
It started when Florida banned drag queens reading to children.
Those children were there with their parents who took them there.
I think that, everybody is not the best parent.
The idea, I guess, is that these men reading to kids was more dangerous than 16-year-olds owning AR-15s or the state wanting to ban the sale of contraception to anyone under 18. You see the irony, right?
I want to close the Department of Education.
We're here today because we believe in education, not indoctrination.
Governor Ron DeSantis getting cheers inside a school in Hialeah Gardens Friday afternoon, moments before signing HB 7, or the Individual Freedom Measure, into law, which bans educators from teaching certain topics related to race. Critics believe it's a form of censorship that avoids teaching students about the nation's racist past and will drastically limit race education in schools.
We need to be able to talk about everything and make people feel included, not be excluded or exclude certain conversations because it makes people feel uncomfortable.
Of course, drag queens didn't kidnap men from Africa and make them slaves in the U.S., killing millions through the harrowing passage across the Atlantic, or how slaves built everything from Wall Street to the mansions from Atlanta to Birmingham and never received a cent, and instead spent the next 150 years under Jim Crow. Florida wants to cut all that out of your textbook.
I want to close the Department of Education.
And critical race theory? Floridians don't want it, even if they don't know what it is.
Do you believe schools should be teaching critical race theory?
No.
Why not?
I feel like, honestly, it brings about more racism, bringing more issues around that don't need to be.
What is critical race theory for people that don't understand it?
See, I really don't even know. I'm assuming. Can you explain it a little bit to me, honestly?
Yeah. For the record, all critical race theory does is recognize that racism is more than rednecks and Dixie flags. It's embedded in laws, policies, and institutions that uphold racial inequalities. Things like black Americans' higher mortality rate, higher exposure to police violence, the school-to-prison pipeline, denial of affordable housing, and the rates of death of black women in childbirth. These are not unrelated anomalies.
And white people are done being bullied.
Discriminating against and denigrating, just denigrating white people.
MAGA will tell you all we want to do is teach the truth, but Trump and MAGA have their own truth, right?
No, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth. The President of the United States says...
Alternative facts to that, but the point remains...
Alternative facts?
Imagine if states were allowed to teach whatever they want. There are schools right now in the South that place greater value over religion than science, like denying that evolution even exists.
I want to close the Department of Education.
Schools in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Louisiana, they teach that the earth is 6,000 years old. How do they know that? Mitch McConnell was alive and witnessed it. And by the way, did you ever notice the people who deny evolution exists are the very same people who would benefit the most from it?
Obama is playing Sleepy Joe. Biden in a mask.
There are Republicans to this day who believe, and say it out loud, that black people are not intellectually equal to whites. You know who they are.
Happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
I'm running against a low IQ individual, her.
In Oklahoma, they're putting Bibles in every classroom, even if you're a Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, like Vance's wife, a Buddhist, or agnostic. That's exactly the opposite of the founders' intent. And wait, it gets better. The Bibles with Trump's name that Oklahoma will put in every classroom, guess where they were made?
China, China, China. I have to have my China. China, China, because China, 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 China.
It's no surprise Trump's all talk when it comes to being tough on China. Some of you heard this. We just found out his Trump-branded Bibles. Yeah, they're printed in China. This dude even outsourced God to China. So just so we know, I don't blame him. He didn't notice the Made in China sticker because they put it inside a place he's never looked in the Bible.
Back in Florida, it's more than denying racism and attacking drag queens.
I want to close the Department of Education.
The Florida legislature is pushing the lie that we didn't slaughter the indigenous population. They just died. They want to keep Columbus Day and cancel Martin Luther King's holiday. And MAGA has a hook in them. DeSantis, just this week, tried to force TV stations from airing this ad, detailing how Florida's anti-abortion law is a danger to all women.
When I saw the tumor on the MRI, my first thought was, am I going to be able to see my daughter again? The doctors knew if I did not end my pregnancy, I would lose my baby, I would lose my life, and my daughter would lose her mom. Florida has now banned abortion, even in cases like mine. Amendment 4 is going to protect women like me. We have to vote yes.
You see, the problem of trying to teach the importance of education to the uneducated, it's an age-old dilemma. When Galileo used a telescope to look up at the stars, he realized the stars were just like our sun. The Catholic Church told him if he didn't recant that observation, they would burn him at the stake. So Galileo spent the rest of his life under house arrest, which sounds a lot like Project 2025.
The Department of Education is renamed the Department of American Values and mandates a nationwide Christian nationalist curriculum for all schools receiving federal aid.
Allowing states to have charter schools for some and sending the poor to overcrowded classrooms with out-of-date textbooks and redacted historical facts sounds like a Kurt Vonnegut novel, but this ain't fiction. Trump ushered in a new wave of stupid that threatens the very fabric of democracy while calling anyone who opposes it
Fascists. They are fascists.
A Trump textbook is a 5-minute drive from 1984 and an even shorter one from 1933 Germany.
I want to close the Department of Education.
What would the United States look like without the Department of Education?
I'm gonna punch him out. This is my moment. I've been waiting for this. For trespassing on Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out. I'm gonna go to...
You don't want to know.
This is not a normal election.
Goddamn right.
Yes!
Tick-tock, mother...
I'm ready. Let's go.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
They're eating the dogs.
Trust me.
Shut the f*** up, Dan.
Who's with me?
Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock,
You're in a lot of trouble, Donna.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.